You. Let's start with team news and any injuries that we should be aware of.
No, pretty good. Yeites is, excuse me, Yeites has been back on the grass with us, which is good, and shown no signs of anything other than being recovered. Woody's making slow but sure progress, and John Vic's injured, unfortunately, and he's had a minor operation on his knee, so he's going to be out for a little bit. We're not sure on the timescales yet.
Sorry. Ryan Yeites looking closer to being back then? Yeah,
he's trained all this week, so he plays out and he feels good.
Boli and Wesangari as well off AFCON, are they return?
Yeah, nothing too serious. They've come back just really recovering from travelling.
Okay. Obviously a disappointing defeat against Wrexham. You were quite vocal after the game as well. I just wonder, what has the reaction been like to that defeat from the squad, and what those conversations have been like?
Yeah, good. We spoke to the players about it, and what we expected. It's probably a tougher one for me being here because I never got to wear the shirt. So, I worked hard to try and do so. I never quite got there. So when people wear it, I expect a lot from them, and I explained that to them.
And their reaction, were they quite responsive to it?
Yeah, of course.
Quite
the professional reactions, it should be. A few felt they weren't near where they need to be, and I think the whole collective, only the first half, don't forget. I mentioned that and I made it clear. But became last, for every minute, and every minute's important. We never looked like showing that kind of urgency in the first half, and we did as the game wore on. But I expect more from the players, and as do they. And they made that clear and feed him that back.
I imagine it'll be a different group against Arsenal this weekend. You'll be aware of the challenge they pose.
Yeah, absolutely. Showing once again right up there. It got closer for a few weeks, and they've stepped away again. I think it's 6 points now, so having a strong season. So of course, it's always tough playing against them sides, and certainly when they're in good form.
And it feels like that break that we had in December, it's kind of come thick and fast again with Europa League's games as well in the next 2 weeks. Looking forward to those?
Yeah, I think we hope to pick up where we left off. A good run of wins and performances, and mixing the group up, but they're delivered. So we want that to continue. We know it's not easy, travelling and getting these results and winning games, but that's the challenge. And I've spoken about it openly with you, and I've spoken about it openly with the players. The fixture list is what it is. It's our challenge to keep going and keep taking every game on.
Sean, some talks and noise around Zinchenko's future here as well. The club being open to ending his loan deal short?
We've spoken to the player, made it clear in his situation. He's aware of that, so we'll see what happens.
And any chance of him staying, or would he be looking to go?
As I said, we'll see what happens. But we're very open with him. He's a thorough professional, and he has been. And I'm sure he will be going forwards no matter what.
Okay. All the best for this weekend.
Sean, good to see you. It's been a while, as you said. In previous years, you've enjoyed a little bit of a success against a Mikel Arteta-led Arsenal side. I think I'm right in saying you got a draw at the Emirates the last time you faced up against him. They're a good side. The table suggests as much. What is the bare minimum a team must produce if you're going to get something out of Arsenal?
You've got to work hard, that's for sure. But that should be a prerequisite, as we just discussed. It wasn't against Wrexham, but generally it has been. So I think you've got to do that. You've got to do all the basics well. Your shape's got to be good. You've got to work hard out of possession. And you've got to work and wait for your opportunities sometimes. They keep the ball well. They've been productive. They get the ball forward quicker than they have done previously. Everyone talks about their set pieces, but they're not just a set piece outfit, that's for sure. They're a very strong outfit. So I think he got ready on all levels, and I think that's what we're looking to be when the whistle blows.
I know you don't like this phrase, but given the position of the club and the fixtures coming up, is this a free hit? 'Cause nobody outside this club really expects much from Forest.
No, it's not that I don't like it. I understand why, stats and facts and all that sort of stuff. It's just that, over the years, I've learned from my groups that I work with. At Burnley, the players there many years ago didn't used to like that saying. It's like, well, why can't we take these teams on, in the Premier League for a reason? So that's why it's something that I've pushed aside. It's like, well, we've shown this season, up at Anfield, that you can take on these teams. You have to play well, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you have to have a quiet day as well. But you've got to play well. So I don't think it's something I've ever shied away from or used as a barrier. I just think it's something we parked a long time ago. And decided, no, you're right, we should be an outfit who can compete against anyone in the division. That's what we want to be. That's what we want to grow into. And there's been some good signs of that here since I've been here, but we've got to take that forwards. But it still goes back to the fact when the whistle blows, you've got to play well. These are strong sides for a reason, and you've got to play well to get what you want.
And just finally from me, given the win that you got at West Ham, the nature of it, followed up with the cup performance last week, do you feel you know more about this group of players now than you did 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you come into a club as a new manager, often we speak about the big brother cameras being on and then they turn off slowly but surely. And maybe there's just a balance that. There's just a cooling off period, you know, where I've expected a lot of the players, we've demanded a lot of them, and, you know, I've had a couple of collective down days, and that's always a head scratcher as a manager, but it can happen. But generally, I think the workload of the players and what they've delivered has been really good. I assured them of that. I showed them the league table from before when we got here. I showed them where we are now, but equally showing them some of the results and some of the performances. You know, where we think we could do better. And I think that's a reminder to them and a reminder to me. You know, don't get me wrong. It's not. I question the players. I question myself because I put them out there. So the first question is with me and my staff. Then we speak to the players and, you know, ask them for their feedback. But I think we've got a good group here, and certainly they were sharing their thoughts, and we've involved their thoughts in our thinking going forwards. Thank you.
Thanks. We'll go to Owen next.
Hi, Sean.
Hiya.
Just another word on Sangare, who's playing really well before AFCON. How much of a boost is it to have him back?
Well, we'll see, but we hope for him to come back in the form that he left us in, because it was very good, and he was sort of picking up a good relationship with Elliot in there. But we know we've got other good players in there. So, you know, he's a player, I think, who's had his ups and downs here with injury before my time, and he's been fit since we've been here. I've enjoyed working with him, and we want that to continue. But he's like I said, there's a good competitive element in the squad. You know, so he comes back in knowing you've got to compete for your place, and that's what we want.
It may be hard to say, obviously you can't say too much, but where are you looking at in terms of the transfer window, positions, types of players, that sort of thing?
No, we're looking at, I mean, the obvious one is the striking area, because we're a bit short there. The club felt there was a really good deal for Calamundo to go out. We are looking at various options to bring in. So, you know, that's the obvious one that jumps off the page. But you've got to be ready for the shifting sands, as I call it, of the market. You know, and it's an unusual market, or slightly different market in the January window than it is in the summer. So we've got to be proactive where we can be and reactive if things change. So I think the club are well aware of that. But a good meeting from the owner all the way through the structure about what we think we've got, what we think we need. And it's aligning the right people. But then, of course, getting the deals done, that's often the hardest part, the actual process of getting the final deal done and getting the players here.
How much comfort can you take from that 7-point gap between you and the bottom three sides now?
Yeah, it's not really about comfort. It's about pushing for more. You know, and we've changed around a pretty harsh position when we got here of 2 points inside of the relegation zone. We're 7 points out of it. So that's clear signs of a change. But, you know, we want more. It's not just about keep looking over your shoulder, which, don't get me wrong, you've got to be realistic from where the club were to where it is now. But you've got to want more. You know, and I spoke to the players about that mentality to want more, the drive to want more. And we've been a bit up and down with that. And I said, we've got to make that a more consistent value within amongst what we do. No matter what the team is, no matter who's going out there, we're pushing and pushing and pushing all the time until it just becomes part of our mentality. Thank you.
We'll go to Peter next. Can we just check the mics on as well?
Thought you meant mine then.
Hi, Sean. I was looking at your managerial record against Arsenal this morning. It's quite interesting because I think your first 10 meetings, you lost 9. But then your next 5, you lost only 1.
That was that Arsene Wenger fella. He was all right, you know, he did quite well in.
Was there a eureka moment where you suddenly realised how you're going to play Arsenal?
No, it's not that easy. No, it's not that easy. It's not about manager to manager sometimes, it's about performances. You know, you look at the players, they've put a lot of money into that side, and look at players they've got. They've got some very productive players, and they've become a strong unit. You know, and that's good coaching as well, by the way. You know, money doesn't win everything. You've still got to coach these people and get them into a winning unit. But no, I mean, I'm not really bothered about records in the past. It's the records you want to create. You know, that's what we're doing, is looking forwards and doing the right things by Nottingham Forest Football Club. And that's what we, you know, working with the players to expect a high level of performance and trying to find that consistency no matter who you're playing against. But it's no easy task playing against these sides, that's for sure. And everyone knows that. So, you know, what we can do is plan properly and plan and get ready to go and win a game. And that's the mentality we want on a constant basis.
We were just talking there about the 7-point gap that's now emerged between you and West Ham. The fact you've got that slight buffer, does it change your approach to the Europa League at all?
No. You know, I've spoken openly. The Premier League remains a real strong point and a stronghold of the club. They waited a long time to get back in there. And one good season in 34 years and one really good season last season, which was fantastic. but there's more to come from that side of things to make that a more regular occurrence when the club can fight at the top end of the market. It takes time to do so. But the Europa League, quite obviously, because of the weight, equally the weight to be in Europe is still definitely something we want to challenge in. I mean, make no mistake about that. But the Premier League is still a vital component in the club's recent history and the club moving forward as well.
Thanks. Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go cameras off.